was because white people did not want their kids to go to school with black people, period.
All right, I'm going to give you the last point on that. Chris, let's change topics. Justin Amash. He just left the Republican Party. Before doing so, he was the only House Republican who was pushing the idea to call for an impeachment inquiry into President Trump. He's now saying he is not ruling out a potential 2020 run. If and how does that complicate things for the president's reelection campaign?
I actually think it doesn't complicate them at all. In fact, it may actually help them because there are a lot of people out there, Republicans who have sentiments left over from 2016, who would define themselves as never-Trumpers, that are probably looking for someone else to vote for. They didn't vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. If Joe Biden were the nominee, they might be able to vote for him, but they're not going to be able to vote for an Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris or a Bernie Sanders. And so what Amash may do is give them a siphon.
Why not a Kamala Harris?
Just because she's a little bit too far left, I think, from the
In
standpoint.
what policy?
Oh my gosh, where do you want me to start? I mean,
well, tell me, because it sounds like it's more just she's too black.
Okay, no.
No, then tell me what policy.
I mean, that's absurd, Steph.
Then help me.
What
policy is too far left? To say Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, and Elizabeth Warren, I just want to understand.
Maybe Bernie Sanders is too old. Why didn't you go there first?
But I get the Bernie and Elizabeth Warren. I just want to understand.
And do you think there's really that much separation ideologically between the three of them?
Well, I
mentioned them because they're the three front runners. That's why I brought that up, for no other reason than that. If you want me to go through each one of Kamala Harris's positions, but she took positions against private insurance, which most Americans against. She took position for open borders. Okay, but then she may roll it up again if she starts to drop in the polls. I think the fact is to make that comparison is if there's some, because of the color of her skin, is really a little bit too 1960 for my taste. And it's not a fair statement. But when it gets down to it, the Justin Amash factor is almost irrelevant with one exception, and it's an important one, and that's the state of Michigan. Now, he is not a statewide elected official in Michigan, but I think he is someone who could appeal in Michigan. If Michigan is as close as it was in 2016, Justin Amash could tilt the state to the Democrat nominee. But the fact is, Justin Amash was probably going to lose the Republican primary, and that's why he switched parties. It has nothing to do with his feelings or ideological leanings.
George Will, I want to read this tweet by professor and author Tom Nichols. He writes, the idea that a third party can take votes away from Trump assumes that the Trump vote isn't a cult and that their votes aren't set in stone. It is a dangerous assumption and almost certainly wrong. Don't split the anti-Trump vote. It's simple. What do you think, George?
I still think that if Justin Amash ran as the presidential candidate of the Libertarian Party, which on its past performance now is, I believe, eligible to be on all 50 ballots this year. Go back to 2000 and the Nader vote in Florida, go back to 2016 and the vote for the Green candidate in Michigan, probably in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin as well. In close elections, in close states, a third-party candidate can make an enormous difference, unintended difference, in Nader's case, for example, in Florida. But the idea that this would be negligible, I think Mr. Nichols is right, that a third-party candidate isn't going to do much to dent the Trump base. But again, Trump's base will not elect him president.
All right. Thank you so much, George Will, Chris Wilson, Eddie Glaude. You all make me smarter every time you're here. Now we have to turn to a different kind of breaking news out of Washington, D.C. This time,